Hey, how's it going everyone? This is the Anime Man. So you may or may not know, but recently there has been a infamous piece of news that has been spiraling around in the otaku and anime community. And it's most likely making a rumor mill around the community because it involves now what is considered classic and cult manga and anime series, Death Note. And well, let me just cut to the chase. Somebody has decided to create a Netflix original, American live-action Death Note TV drama series.
Oh, with this shit again!
Aki, come on, I'm trying to make this rant.
Look, I appreciate the enthusiasm, and I'm gonna let you finish, but don't you think that people are kind of tired of hearing you shit all over these live-action anime adaptations? Like, seriously, haven't you made, like, 200 videos of these kinds of topics?
No, look man, I can't help it. They're making so many of these shitty live-action adaptations, it's like they're asking me to shit all over it.
Oh, well, let me just help you on this particular rant then, because I have a few things to say myself too about this topic.
Well, considering the potential amount of dislikes this video is probably going to get because of the controversial topics that we're going to cover, I guess it doesn't hurt to spread the hate around with some of my friends, so yeah, let's do it.
Exactly, we all have to share the hate, and... Wait, what?
So as many of you who do watch my rants may know or have heard, I'm not exactly the most enthusiastic critic when it comes to anime and manga series being turned into live-action TV or film adaptations involving human flesh. I mean, it's one thing when an American or even a Western production decides to adapt something from the anime world, but when there are numerous instances of Japanese productions failing to create a even decent recreation of their own country's work, well, that's when you know that there's a serious problem with the whole process of adaptation as a whole.
But concerning this particular anime adaptation of the Death Note live action for Netflix, it seems that there's more problems rising for people rather than it just being another adaptation of another anime or manga. And it seems that a lot of people are annoyed by the new cast members of this drama series. And it seems like a lot of people do see the problem with this cast. It's just, this is the internet, so a lot of people are kind of afraid to say what they want in order to avoid certain controversial topics.
No, it's alright, Aki. I'll take the ball for this one. Now, before anything, please watch this video until the end before you start throwing dislikes and hate comments at us like frisbees. The problem is the fact that this man right here, Keith Stanfield, who has starred in many movies such as Short Term 12 and the Straight Outta Compton movie, is assuming the role of the one and only L. Now again, hear me out until the end because I am just gonna come out and straight up say why a lot of people are not okay with Mr. Stanfield assuming the role of L. It's because he's black. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please. I'm sorry. Don't. Aki, please. Aki, please. Take it from here, please. Aki? Aki?
A few moments later.
Thanks for firing shots at me, asshole. Now, as Joey said, this is the reason why a lot of people are annoyed by this casting choice, but not for the reasons you think. Now, while I am the same person that still believes that live action should really boil down to how an actor actually executes and portrays a certain character, I still believe that somewhat accuracy to the original character still plays a part to the success of a series, especially when it comes to anime turned into live action adaptations, because the character of L is not only unique as a personality, but also aesthetically as well. From the pale skin to the bags under the eyes, it's not just there for decoration. They are brilliant aesthetic traits that show what kind of character L really is. Because just those little aesthetic details help us remember that L is this very introverted and twisted-minded character, but also a genius at the same time. Image-wise, it also supports things like his posture, the way he sits. It all comprises into also that sort of innocent and naive spirit that he has, even though he's a full-grown adult. And I'm just having a very hard time with seeing how they're going to be able to pull off that same image with the actor that they've chosen for L.
And I think this is where this Death Note adaptation actually fails as an adaptation. A film adaptation, by definition, is a derivative work that is reconstructed to film whilst holding the bare-bones structure of stories, characters, themes, and motifs from an already existing original work. In other words, if a fundamental idea from the original story is changed in the adaptation process, I personally don't think it should be counted as a film adaptation. And I think this is the reason why many people are annoyed at this casting choice of this quote-unquote adaptation. It's because they expect it to be exactly like Death Note.
I think the key to truly enjoying this series is not really to look at the Death Note series as a mirroring image of the original anime, but more so as its own version, a westernized and Americanized version with the roots of Death Note. Now, a lot of us Death Note fans may find that a little bit hard to do, but just know that America actually has done this before. We've done it with certain movies such as Inception, where it was its own original story, but the roots actually gravitated from Paprika. Same thing with Matrix, where a lot of the roots were still from Ghost in a Shell, but it made its own legacy even though the inspirations were from that anime. And in the end, I feel like we were still able to enjoy those movies without really comparing it to the original anime. We have even been able to do this with things like Asian horror films. For some reason, we have been able to make westernized and American versions of films like The Ring, The Grudge, One Missed Call, Shudder. All of that was still westernized, but a lot of the roots came from the original scripting, and also some of them used to be a manga, but we haven't really been in the mentality of really comparing the two. So I think the reason a lot of people are pissed off is because they are actually in the mentality of comparing this new series to the original anime and manga, which I can't blame anyone for.
Now, I've looked around at countless forum posts and news articles about this topic and have seen the word whitewashing being thrown around a lot. Personally, it's a term that I think is just fucking stupid and has kind of lost its meaning now. I mean, we all lost our shit when Scarlett Johansson was cast as Kusanagi Motoko in the Ghost in the Shell live action movie. But if you have seen that video, then you might be thinking to yourself,
oh, so you're okay with Scarlett Johansson playing Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell, but once a black man starts playing L from Death Note, then you just gotta start being a fucking hypocrite. Oh, anime man exposed!
To which I say, no. The problem is the people who did call the Ghost in the Shell situation whitewashing are the people who either never seen Ghost in the Shell before or wasn't really paying attention when watching Ghost in the Shell. Because if you have seen it and were actually focusing on the story of Ghost in the Shell, then you would know that Kusanagi Motoko, the character that is apparently being whitewashed, is a fucking android. She is what is also known as a robot. In other words, she has no fucking race. It really doesn't matter what race of an actress does assume the role of Kusanagi, as long as she remotely looks like the original Kusanagi Motoko. Which, if you ask me, Scarlett Johansson does a pretty fucking good job of.
Many people saw Scarlett Johansson and thought, oh, she looks somewhat similar to the original character, but once they saw who was casted as L, well, a lot of people turned their heads on that one. Now, this is just my theory, but I think that the reason why the cast is so culturally diverse is because in America, that's just how our culture is. In a lot of films, we tend to try and make the cast as culturally diverse as we can. The same thing applies to Japan. When you see films in Japan, it's only logical to think that you're going to see Japanese actors playing characters. While in America, we are much more diverse in nationality, so it's really hard to tell whether the reasoning for the cast being so culturally diverse is because of that fact, or that the director might have been just trying too hard for equality.
In the case with the ever-famous Attack on Titan live action, for example, every character in the original series are supposed to be German characters. And so it makes sense to hire German actors and actresses to assume the role of these characters. However, the reason why they instead hired all Japanese actors and actresses and nobody complained about it is because it's a Japanese production. It makes sense on a cultural level to use Japanese actors and actresses in a Japanese film, as the population of Japan is not as culturally diverse as other countries. And again, I just like to clarify that Aki and myself do not think that this Death Note adaptation is going to suck in any way. There's a reason why the title of this video ends in a question mark, because we have heard of this statement being said, but are questioning its validity. Of course, there is a possibility that it might suck, it might have a crappy story, the acting might not be as good, but are we saying that it is automatically going to suck because a black guy is assuming the role of L? Hell the fuck no. Although I don't 100% agree on them changing Light Yagami's name to Light Turner, like White Turner. Of all the surnames you could have chosen, Turner. Fucking Turner, really?
Now, in the end, I will admit for Death Note fans everywhere, and including myself, that it will be very hard to really break out of that shell to enjoy the series as Death Note itself, rather than its own artistic expression. But if for some reason you are able to get into the mentality of separating both the anime and its own artistic expression, then more power to you. But I also can't blame Death Note fans for having a difficult time trying to wrap their head around the selected cast. I'm pretty sure any hardcore Death Note fan out there would be pissy about this anime adaptation.
And here's the silver lining of all of this. These homage adaptations we've seen in the past, most of the time have ended up being pretty decent films independently. Of course, there have been a few swing and misses, and there may be some personal preferences that come into play, but the American adaptations of horror films like The Ring and The Grudge have been pretty good in my opinion. And knowing the roots of where these films came from and how they were changed from its original source material adds a whole new layer of enjoyment independently. And this new Death Note series, which we can categorize as an homage adaptation, is going to have the same possibility. So in all honesty, we don't think this new Death Note series is going to be 100% horrible. And seriously, it's just way too quick to judge at this point. I'm only going to critique how good or bad a TV series, a film, whatever it may be is until I've actually seen the fucking thing. Which is what everybody should be doing, but people are unfortunately just way too quick to jump onto the hate train. But can I just say quickly how much I am looking forward to hearing Willem Dafoe's voice come out of Ryuk? Like, honestly, you want to talk about casting choices? That was a fucking brilliant casting choice.
So let us know in the comment section down below, what do you think of this Death Note series? Do you think that it's pretty decent, or do you think it's just outright horrible? Any particular thoughts on the casting of the series? And if you guys like more anime and otaku related content, you guys can subscribe to my channel.
Well, now we gotta prepare the flame shields for the barrage of inevitable hate comments and dislikes this video is gonna get from closed-minded individuals, but in any case, I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know, again, your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you